How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Today, we're going to be looking at common problems that RVers have and face all the time. But today, I want to see if we're really as prepared as we think we might be. There's about 10 to 12 items that you should probably have on hand, and maybe more than that. So today, we're going to be testing that preparedness. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. So to start off, the first one is one that nobody is exempt from and can happen to just about anybody out there RVing, and it's a flat tire. Really, any problem with your tire on the road. Could be a broken leaf spring that stops you from going down the road, but let's first see just how prepared I am for a flat tire. Might sound simple, but until you put it to the test, you don't really know. And to keep it interesting, I'm gonna time myself on the RV tire change to see where I'm lacking. To be completely honest, up until recently, one of the areas I was lacking is having all of this equipment very accessible. The more of a pain it's going to be to get to this stuff, the more of a pain it's going to be when you run into a situation where you have to change the tire. And then it's the equipment that you have to work with. For instance, when you have a drill in order to bring your spare tire up and down and use it throughout the process, it's just going to make it better and faster. It's the award winner for speed ramping this process. Then for me, my preference is having a breaker bar. A 4-way is a great tool, but I find it somewhat more bulky than a breaker bar, and I get more leverage and use out of this in other ways. Next for me is having a jack that's going to work in multiple situations. This is the tall boy jack with a lot of accessories. And yes, I have no problem using this jack to cradle underneath the leaf spring in order to change a tire. It's actually a really useful kit for RVing. Then back to using the drill with the socket to make quick work of the lug nuts, swap out the tires, which this is a good reminder if you haven't checked your spare in a while, make sure that it's not dry rotted, underinflated, or just unusable. Definitely not something you want to discover when you're on the side of the road. Make up a little bit of time with using the drill again, back to the breaker bar to get them as snug as I can before releasing the jack and bringing the tire down, so that I can wrap up this process. Then one of the tools that I didn't have in the bag is a torque wrench, so I can finish up by making sure all the lug nuts are torqued properly. Then it's just making sure that we're travel ready on everything, making sure all the tools are put away, and that you're not leaving anything out or on the side of the road. And I'm cheating because the fifth wheel's not connected and I'm just putting the tire in the back of the truck. I should have put it underneath the RV. And end time, 21:58. I think I could do better. But just that tire change has an entire list of tools and equipment that make that job possible and or easier. Missing any one of those things is just going to slow it down or even make it impossible. So for me, I want to make sure I have everything on that list before I have a problem. Now, moving on to the rest of the list, because a flat tire is not the only thing that we as RVers aren't always prepared for. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's a step that I actually miss in that tire changing process, and that's having the visibility on the side of the road. We were just helping somebody with a flat tire this last week, and one thing I noticed is nobody moves over. So I do have triangles and I do have a vest, and the thing about that is I need to make it more accessible. I get it. It sounds petty that I didn't get the vest and triangles from underneath the seat because it's that easy. The problem is when we're all out on the road and everybody's in the back seat, everybody has to come out on the side of the road or in the brush in order for me just to be able to get to the triangles and the vest. So I think I'm going to put these with the other stuff in the toolbox. That way it's easy to get to and I don't have to get everybody out of the truck just to get to this kind of thing. So having the equipment and the accessibility to it so it's not too big of a hurdle to where you're like, I'm just not going to do it because it's too much of a pain, is important as well for being prepared. The second thing on our list is broken suspension on the RV. That's something that I used to travel with. I don't have an extra leaf spring on hand right now, but an extra leaf spring, extra shackles, things like that to keep on hand. So if you have a failure, you can get back up on the road. I get it. You can get a little bit overkill in this area. For me, leaf springs, shackles, and an extra bearing kit is not a bad idea to have on hand. The other thing is, do you have a jack that's able to jack your RV up enough in order to be able to swap something like that out on the side of the road? That's why we had the tall boy jack. We've had the safe jack in the past and absolutely love it. It's one big flaw is just how expensive it is. I think it's around $340 for the kit, and then if you add the base plate, it's another $70. The tall boy is way less than even half of that at $140. So if you were interested in getting something like the Safe Jack, I would highly recommend the Tall Boy. It's probably my highest recommended jack for RVing. They're not a sponsor of this channel. eTrailer is a sponsor of this channel. They do carry it, so there will be an affiliate link down below if you're interested in that, because it has all the different type of accessories to be able to go with it, a large base plate on the bottom so it's really stable when you're putting it on the ground. Those different accessories can stack on top. You have a square accessory that can go to the bottom of the frame to kind of spread out that weight. You also have a cradle, so if you wanted to go underneath the leaf spring on the axle, you have that ability. And if you haven't used a jack like this before, it is surprisingly stable. It keeps me from having to carry a bunch of blocks around in order to make up that space, because we have such a distance from the ground to the frame of the RV. I've done blocks in the past, and I do have to say that this is way more stable than stacking up blocks in order to do that. This is a way more stable option. But let's look at some of the other equipment that we have for us trying to be prepared and see if it still fits our current setup or if I need to replace some equipment. So here's one that I keep underneath the driver's seat, and it's a tow strap. I like to think of this as like assisted getting unstuck help. And then I also have Max Tracks, like the knockoff version of them that are pretty small, that are more of a self-rescue type of a thing. If you've ever been in wet grass with an RV and realized that you can't move all that much, sometimes all you need is just a little bit of assistance. But this is an old tow strap, and it's rated at 6,000 pounds. So this isn't even gonna be good enough for my truck. So I can probably help a smaller car with this, but definitely I'm gonna have to upgrade the tow strap if I wanna keep this for the truck and the RV. I'll probably go with something kinetic too. So I think I saw something on eTrailer, like around $100 to be able to have a tow strap like that. Could come in really handy. That's significantly less expensive than a tow truck. So to me, that's worth having on hand. After seeing how many options eTrailers carries, I'm sure we'll find one that will suit our needs. I might have failed on the tow strap, but I do have some soft shackles in order to rig that up. And these do have a really high rating. I could tow the truck and the RV with these. This is like a treasure trove underneath the seat. So right here, I also have one of those jump start devices. If you've ever had a dead battery and you have to flag somebody down in order to get a jump, having something like this where you can just self-rescue is hands down way more convenient. And it takes way less effort if you need to help somebody else rather than jockeying cars around. Just use a jump start device in order to help somebody out and get them going. That said, I've never touched our jumper cables ever since I've gotten this, but it is something that I keep in the truck as well. Definitely want the kind of manual backup to it, but this guy right here has jump started our diesel truck. If I were to put all of our gear in a list of essential and recommended, this would be floating right there in the middle. Same with the jack that we have. It borderlines on essential, or at least the second tier of essential that I would be getting. But this list can really go on and on. We have med kit, we have a multimeter in the door of the truck. Like I said, the list can really go on and on. So what would you put on this list of things that you want to be able to be prepared for while RVing that are really going to help you out? You almost consider it part of your essential list. So leave that down in the comments. Links are going to be down to everything that we talked about in this video, right down in the description and in that first comment. So I hope some of this helps you see how we try and be prepared and ready for problems on the road. And I can't wait to check out what you have to say and some of your suggestions. So I hope this helped you enjoy RVing just a little bit more. So I think that's going to do it for today. As always, if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video. Take care.